In the late 19th century, when India was struggling under British rule, a young monk appeared. His words ignited courage, his eyes reflected wisdom, and his presence awakened sleeping souls. His name was Swami Vivekananda, the disciple of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and the man who showed the world the spiritual power of India through his speech at the Parliament of Religions in Chicago, 1893. But beyond his speeches and philosophy, there were moments from his life that revealed the depth of his faith and the greatness of his spirit. One such story, of a king, a river, and unshakable faith, still echoes as a lesson for humanity. Once, Swami Vivekananda was traveling through the countryside of Rajasthan. His simple robes, glowing eyes, and calm presence caught the attention of everyone. Word soon reached the local king, a ruler known for his respect toward holy men. The king sent an invitation to Swami Vivekananda to visit his palace. When Swamiji arrived, the king welcomed him with honor, offering a seat and saying, "Swamiji, I have heard of your greatness. I wish to seek your blessings." Swamiji smiled gently and said, "Blessings are not mine, O king. Blessings belong to God. What I can offer you is only truth and courage." Impressed by his humility, the king began to ask him about faith. "Swamiji," he said, "you speak so highly of faith. But in today's world, how can one see faith? How can one prove that it truly works?" Swamiji replied calmly, "Faith is not something you see with your eyes, Your Majesty. It is something you live with your heart. When you believe, life itself begins to shape around that belief." The king smiled skeptically. "Words are easy, Swamiji. Can faith really move mountains, as they say?" Swamiji looked at the king with deep compassion and said, "Yes, faith can move mountains, but first, it must move you." A few days later, the two happened to walk along the banks of a wide river that ran near the palace. The current was strong, and the river had no bridge at that point. Swamiji stopped, looked at the river, and said to the king, "Do you truly wish to know the power of faith?" The king nodded curiously. Swamiji then said, "Think of God, surrender your doubt, and walk across." The king was startled. "Walk across? Without a bridge? That's impossible." Swamiji said gently, "Nothing is impossible when you remove fear from your heart. Faith and fear cannot live together." The king hesitated, then stepped toward the water. His mind was torn. What if I drown? What if this is madness? He took one step into the water, and suddenly the ground beneath his feet felt firm, like a hidden stone path had appeared. Encouraged, he took another step, then another. And miraculously, the king found himself halfway across the river. He turned back in or to look at Swamiji, but the moment he thought, "How is this happening?" doubt entered his mind, and instantly he sank into the water. Panicked, he struggled, and Swamiji reached out his hand, pulling him safely to the shore. Breathing heavily, the king looked at him and said, "Swamiji, what just happened?" Swamiji smiled softly and said, "The moment you doubted, you drowned. That is the law of life. When faith leaves, fear enters, and fear pulls you down. Faith is not a word. It is a force that makes the impossible possible." That day, the king learned that faith is not a matter of blind belief. It is the inner strength that comes from complete trust in the divine and in oneself. Swami Vivekananda often said, "You cannot believe in God until you believe in yourself." The river was not just water, it was a symbol of life's challenges. When we walk with fear, we sink. When we walk with faith, life itself becomes the bridge. This story remains one of the most powerful demonstrations of Swami Vivekananda's teachings, that faith, courage, and self-belief are not abstract ideas. They are living powers that can transform our reality. He proved through his life that the greatest strength of a human being lies not in wealth or power, but in unshakable faith, in God, in truth, and in oneself.